So before we start, I would like to thank all our sponsors, because without their support, we would not be able to offer all the services that we offer. So these are our sponsors for the year. Next, our partners, we have Alabama College Commission on Higher Education, Alabama Community College System, Alabama State Department of Education, and Get Educated. Get Educated is our partner in that allows our students to apply to HBCUs across the nation for free. Educators have that code. So we are grateful for their partnership. Some housekeeping rules. Please keep your microphones on mute at all times to avoid feedback during the presentation. This webinar will be recorded and posted on a YouTube channel. Submit questions throughout the webinar using the chat feature, and at the end of the panel discussion, we'll come back to those questions and answer poll questions to receive your professional development credit. We are on social media, so please follow us. Our handle is @ALGoesToCollege. So we are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And these are some of the hashtags that you all can use when you are posting your college growing process in your schools. So this is our 2022-2023 Alabama Goes to College campaign. I'm hoping the high schools that are present currently are all signed up for this campaign. In this campaign, what we do is we provide high school educators with tools to assist their students through the post-secondary access pathways. And there are three components to the campaign. One is Cash for College, which is otherwise known as FAFSA completion. The second one is Alabama College Application Week and it is part of a national America College Application Week. What happens during this week is colleges in and around Alabama waive off their application fees for the students. And finally, we have the College and Career Decision Day, where we recognize each and every student who's graduating for whatever decisions they have made for their post-secondary journey. I will now hand it over to May for the poll. May Whiting is our data and research manager.
Hi, everyone. You should see a poll question on your screen. We'd like to get an idea of what percentage of your seniors you would estimate apply to out-of-state institutions. It looks like the majority of you are saying anywhere from 0 to 19% of your students are applying to out-of-state institution, but a fair number of you are also saying anywhere from 20 to 60% do. So we appreciate that feedback and are excited for you to hear from our out-of-state institutions we have joining us today.
I would like to go through the slide which talks about why post-secondary education. So this is actually, we have the source down at the bottom of the slide, and this is projections for 2020 through 2030. So among the occupations that typically required in 2020, among the occupations that typically required some form of post-secondary education, occupations requiring a bachelor's degree made the largest share at 51%. So we understand why it is important that students go through a post-secondary journey beyond high school. So this, again, like I mentioned earlier, that is why it is really important. And what the projections have shown is in the 2020-2030, that number is going to be on the rise, and that it'll grow faster than any other form. So that is why it is necessary that we be ready to prepare our students and ensure that they are ready for workforce. Now over here, you can see this is the 2020 median annual wages by education. And you will notice over here that doctoral or professional degree, they are the highest, but when students no formal education credential, their median annual wage is $22,251 only, and it keeps increasing as they go higher in their post-secondary education. So we have the Spring Alabama College Application Week. We have confirmation from colleges from the State Department, and it is going to be held February 20th through 24, 2023. And we will send you the list of participating colleges as soon as we get them. Now I will hand it over to Michaela Orr, who's an intern with Alabama Possible.
Good morning, everyone. Just wanted to take a few moments to just remind you of the resources that Alabama Possible has available to every school who is a part of the Alabama Goes to College campaign. And so I will be putting in the chat here the link to our Google Drive. So it's there. And so we have created this toolkit just to help make things a little bit easier for you to engage with families and students about the process of going to college, financial aid, and more. We have templates for social media, timelines, and other resources from our partners like Get Schooled. We want to highlight today the Student and Families Guidebook, where you can find that on our website, and it's also on the Google Drive. And it provides a timeline for students and families to refer to when planning for their senior year. It also includes a great section about breaking down the FAFSA. So just answering some of those frequently asked questions, tips on how to choose the right school for you, and more. It is available in a PDF form, so it's super easy to print and give to students. So yeah. And then we also want to highlight the help desk. So many of you use our help desk. And if you haven't, it's a great resource that we offer. You can contact us. You can call or text us, and the number is right here on your screen. But it is open from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And we answer questions around the FAFSA, admissions, and college planning. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Manisha.
Thanks, Michaela. Next, we'll move on to the panel discussion right now. So our guests will share, they'll share what they are looking for in an application, and they'll first briefly introduce themselves, and then we'll dive into the questions. So we'll start with Boston College, move on to Pomona College, and then to Sewanee, the University of the South. Mr. John Mahoney.
Good morning, and thank you, Manisha. Welcome to all of you. My name is John Mahoney. I am the Vice Provost for Enrollment Management at Boston College. That is a very fancy title that has a very simple explanation. I oversee the offices of undergraduate admission, financial aid, the registrar's area, and student services. And I have been at Boston College for 39 years. I was the director of admission for a long period of time. That ended in 2018 when they decided that they would give me this confusing, fancy title of enrollment management. But I'm really delighted to be here to talk about my real passions, which is college admission and financial aid. Boston College is a private university located, interestingly enough, despite our name, not in Boston, but in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. That's about 5 or 6 miles outside of downtown Boston. And I think much like my peers will tell you, what we're looking for when students apply is the common application, first of all. And there is a common application essay, but Boston College also has a second essay that is unique to us. And we ask you to look at 4 possible prompts and to write an essay in response to one of those prompts. We are interested in students who are obviously academically accomplished and show us great potential to be successful here in the classroom in whatever their chosen fields might be. But we're also interested, as we read applications, in really enriching the community that we believe we have built here at Boston College. And so it's not just academic excellence that we're looking for, it's personal excellence. Maybe that is demonstrated to us in the things that you've done outside of the classroom at your schools. Maybe it has, maybe if you have not participated in extracurricular activities, then you have been working in the community. Maybe you've done service. It doesn't, I think all of us would agree, we're not going to dictate to you what you should do. You decide what you do. Follow your passions, and people who are passionate about what they do are typically very successful at what they do, and that will give us a good window into you. We're interested in teacher and guidance recommendations as well. So all of those are the variables that we evaluate as we try to make the best decisions for Boston College and for the students that are interested. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam, go ahead.
All right. Thanks very much. Always glad to be on a panel with such incredible people. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Adam Sapp. I'm the AVP and Director of Admission here at Pomona. I'm wearing a sweater. We're in Los Angeles and it's only going to be 60 degrees today. So we are a little cold, but we're doing well here in LA. It's usually sunny and 72 here at Pomona. We have an incredible community, an incredibly diverse community at Pomona. We are about 1,700 students. We're a liberal arts college, a leading liberal arts college in the United States, with students from 59 countries and all 50 states, including the great state of Alabama. We offer 48 majors in the natural sciences, arts and humanities, interdisciplinary fields, and social sciences. And we too, like John talked about at Boston College, we're looking for academic excellence inside of the classroom and leadership and high impact contribution outside of the classroom. And I think all of my colleagues would agree with me that we don't just mean clubs and sports. We mean all of the ways in which a student shows up outside of the classroom. Maybe they have a part-time job. That's great. We want to know about it. Maybe they're the oldest sibling in their family and they have to spend time babysitting their younger siblings after school. That's great. We want to know about it. Maybe they perform some elder care because they live in a multi-generational household and their grandparents need some support because mom and dad works. That's awesome. We want to know about it. All of those things that make up the richness of that student's life outside of the classroom, whether it's family, whether it's work, or whether it's more traditional extracurricular clubs like student government and football or softball, all of those things are important for us to know about. We read holistically, as all of my colleagues here do, and so we too are interested in council recommendations and transcripts. We're interested in essays and high quality writing. And we ask 2 short answer questions. So we have the Common App essay plus 2 250-word essay responses or short answer responses that we ask students to complete, in addition to the materials, of course, that you send in on your behalf and that teachers send in.
Thank you, Adam. Ali, go ahead.
Hi guys, I'm happy to be here. I first want to apologize. I'm having an issue with my camera, and so I'm sorry, you're just going to have to stare at the static picture of me. But I'm Ali Hamilton. I'm the Associate Dean of Admission at Sewanee. And I actually joined the Sewanee team just this summer and had previously been at Rhodes College in Tennessee and also Center College in Kentucky. Very similar to my colleagues, as they have mentioned, we look for very holistic, similar attributes to our students. So academic rigor and excellence, we're looking for commitments outside the classroom to show that students are able to be community members here on our campus and contribute in multifaceted ways. Sewanee is located not far from you all, depending on where you are in the state of Alabama. And we have a lot of students who come from Alabama. Our students come from all over the US, so we're represented by 48 different states, 37 countries, but Alabama is a prominent one for us. And, you know, we do love to see students who are within that driving distance. It's easy to get to. I think it's also worth noting that as a liberal arts and sciences institution, we're a student that might be a good fit for us is somebody who's just generally curious about maybe a variety of topics. And it's okay if they don't know exactly what it is they want to study. So they might be interested in English or politics or psychology or medicine. And at Sewanee and a number of other institutions, incoming students will not have to declare a major until sophomore year. So it's ideal, really, that kids come in with an open mind and they don't necessarily know exactly what they want to do. Sewanee would be an institution where they can apply and their intended major does not have an impact on their admission decision. So they're not beholden to those commitments that they're thinking about when they're 18 or 17. We expect them to come in and change their minds and to develop and grow as they're going through their academic journey. And so similarly, I'll just also say through the admission process, we're on the Common App. We will look at transcripts, counselor recommendation letters. We only ask for one essay, just the essay that they write through the Common App. And we treat that as a personal statement. We truly are just interested in learning about them through that essay. And we are also test optional. We've been test optional for well over a decade, and plan to continue that well into the future.
Thank you, all three of you. So now we'll go in deep dive into the questions that we have. So, and Ali, we can start with you. For students who are considering going out of state, we have heard often that parents, they are worried that the students won't be supported, they will be far from home and away from their support system, right? So what supports do your institution offer for out of state students?
Excellent question, and one that matters deeply. And as a residential liberal arts school, we are built around the idea of supporting our students. That is really the cornerstone of what we do here. So students will have so many support mechanisms in place. The first being they'll be in an orientation group where they're meeting peers from all over the US, and they're all on the same playing field, and they're learning to get connected to the community with orientation. So meeting upperclassmen, learning where their classes are, learning about our domain. We sit on 13,000 acres. It's pretty unusual. And so now they have this huge expanse of land that they get to be a part of. They have success coaches when they come in. This is somebody who's assigned to our student life office, and they really are just a touchstone to check in with and say, hey, I'm really homesick and I don't know what to do, what resources are here for me. And we would point you, here's the counseling center, here's how you get connected here. Or I'm feeling a little overwhelmed in my classes and I feel like I need a little extra help. And so we can help point you to resources like tutoring or faculty office hours or the writing center or a number of other support mechanisms that we have in place. So we do have an umbrella network here that is focused on flourishing and wellness. It's where we think about the 3 prongs of academic success, mental health, and physical wellness. And so we're trying to support all 3 of those in our students. And we have many offices set up here to take care of each of those items.
So Adam, you want to go next?
Yeah, I think Ali covered it in many ways. And I think, similar to all of us on the panel, as places that are high residency and really believe in this combination of learning inside the classroom and outside of the classroom, there's going to be multiple, you might call them safety nets, you might call them sort of opportunities to enrich the experience, but we're all going to offer support programs. I would just offer 2 numbers. When you are talking to parents about this, I think data can help. Talk about persistence rates and talk about graduation rates. If you want to talk about persistence rates, the pandemic messed up everyone's data. So let me just start with that. But before the pandemic, Pomona had 2 years when I was first here when the persistence rate was 99%. That means 99% of freshmen came back as sophomores. That's amazing. We have a 4-year graduation rate that is usually around 94 to 96%. Also one of the best in the country. So when we talk about, fears around support, fears around having to come back home, not feeling like they belong, I would put that data out there and say, well, 99% of the students that came in as freshmen at Pomona decided to stay. That's a stamp of approval, we think. And the graduation rate's one of the highest in the country. And that's also, we think, a stamp of approval around support. So are they going to stay and be happy? And are they going to graduate? I think those can be 2 central questions you can support. That data is out there for everybody, but those are ways in which we would say the things we do work.
Thank you. John, go ahead.
Sure. Well, my colleagues have done a great job responding to this important question. BC and my colleagues, we really pride ourselves on being national and even international universities. You heard the data, so I would say all students are going to be the beneficiaries of the kinds of programs that we have in place as they enter the institution. And Adam has really, I think, put his finger on an important point, which is really from the start, it's up to us to make sure that, the students who've gone through this process and have identified our institutions as places that they'd like to go to, we want to make sure that we deliver in every possible way to them, that we give them the kinds of academic programs they want, but then also the support services. And obviously for students that would be coming from the great state of Alabama, that if they came to Boston College, they'd be coming to a place that's quite a good distance away. And maybe what I'd do is talk about some of the programs that we have in place, particularly during the first year. So Boston College has, for example, an Office of the First Year Experience, because we know that really getting off to a great start is going to be crucial to what Adam talked about in terms of retention, graduation. That's our goal. And we are, typically a class coming into Boston College, the 4-year graduation rate is typically around 94, 95%. And if you play that out on a 6-year level, it goes even a little bit higher. So I think the kinds of programs that we have in place are succeeding. That for Office of the First Year Experience runs our summer orientation. So all students are required to come here during the course of the summer, unless they live west of the Mississippi. And I haven't looked at my map recently, done my geography lesson recently. I don't know if Alabama would qualify to be west of the Mississippi, but anybody who's east of the Mississippi domestically anyway comes during the summertime. We run 6 orientation programs. Students stay over for 2 nights, and they have a variety of different presentations from administrative offices, from currently enrolled students, orientation leaders, and it culminates with them registering for their classes with faculty and deans working with them. So that's a great way to get started. It also brings them in with a sort of a subset of their class, so they get to form some relationships right at the start. They're going to be living in our residence halls with other students, and oftentimes they can identify roommates in that process and ask Residence Life if they can live with this particular student. That's a great way to begin to make those kinds of connections. The other thing I would mention to you, just in terms of what we have in place to support all of our students, not just those from out of state, is that from a mission standpoint, we are a Jesuit university, a Catholic Jesuit university. And it doesn't mean that you have to be Catholic to apply to Boston College or to come to Boston College, but those are our roots. That's our heritage, founded by an order of Catholic priests called Jesuits. And they've prided themselves on a lot of things about the undergraduate learning experience. Number one is we believe strongly in the value of a broadly based liberal arts education. My colleagues have talked about that as well. Students will be majoring at Boston College, maybe double majoring, but everybody will take a broadly based core curriculum because we want students to be exposed to many different subject areas, many different ideas, many different ways of learning, ways of thinking about the world. We want them to develop good critical thinking skills and good communication skills, and we think a great liberal arts education does that. So that's the sort of pedagogical side of Jesuit education. But there's another phrase that we talk about as being central to Jesuit education, and that's student formation. So we sort of look at this process and realize that the students that are coming to us arrive on our doorsteps at about the age of 18 or so, 17 or 18 years old. You might say that that's the end of adolescence. They leave us at the age of 22. That's sort of the beginning of adulthood. That's a critical phase in any human being's development. So I don't think anybody would disagree that these college years are critical developmental years for students. And so Boston College, as a Jesuit institution, pays attention to that. We believe in student formation. Lots is happening intellectually, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. And we have all kinds of programs spanning all 4 years for students to really begin to think about big questions like, who am I? What do I want to achieve? What do I aspire to? What am I really hoping to accomplish during this critical 4-year period in my life? What constitutes, a good and meaningful life? We ask those big questions, and we have ample opportunity over all 4 years for students to really begin to think about those questions and talk to other students and mentors along the way. I'll just leave you one example. In the first year, for example, we have a program called 48 Hours. And that's to sort of allow students the opportunity to leave our campus on a Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock and come back on a Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock, and to get away with about 45 or 50 other freshmen who are feeling the same sort of ambivalence that my colleagues might have talked about, that they're I don't know, there's homesickness, there's uncertainty, there's new academic and social stressors. How do you respond to that? So we take those students away, we bring some upper class students to reflect on what their first year was like. We've got some faculty and administrative mentors as well. And the students really, I think, learn during that experience. I'm not the first one who's experienced it. I'm not the only one who's experiencing this kind of challenge. So in other words, I think to sort of cue off of my colleagues, we have a lot of programs in place to make sure that our students arrive here, feel comfortable, and it's when they're comfortable that they're going to be able to achieve to the greatest extent.
Great, thank you all. Thank you, all three of you. So we have now the admission process. We've gone through the support system. Next is we'll go over to the cost part of it. So there are this has two parts. So does your institution have tuition reciprocity for students from Alabama? That is the first one. Second one, what or how long is the process for students from Alabama to establish residency in your state? And we can start with you, Adam.
Sure. Well, as private institutions, and I think all of us are going to offer a couple kinds of financial aid, or maybe one kind of financial aid. We are going to welcome students from around the country and around the world. And then at Pomona, we run what's called a need-blind admissions process, which means we do not look at family finances when admitting students. We meet 100% of need, which means that the package that a family receives will cover 100% of the cost associated with Pomona. And we are a no loan institution, which means that we do not package loans. We swap out loans for grants. And so it's a high grant, full need financial aid package for our middle and low income students. And I put the cost calculator in there. Over half of our students receive financial aid at Pomona. About 1/5 of our students are Pell eligible at Pomona. And we have a significant number of students who receive additional supports beyond that. So if you are part of that Pell eligible group at Pomona, we also cover health insurance. If you're part of that Pell eligible group at Pomona, we also provide you a startup grant. So it's $500 cash on your first day at Pomona. It's for your first Target run or Walmart run or whatever kind of extra things that you need. There are additional grants that you become eligible for as well if you need support with computers or books. And so financial aid is very, very good at Pomona. I don't like to talk about rankings, but I will talk about this one. We're regularly in the top 3 or 4 in Princeton Review every year with our financial aid packages. And so financial aid is actually one of the sort of cornerstones and kind of bedrock values of Pomona, and something that we know that we need. So residency in California or establishing residency in California, it isn't necessary because our financial aid will go to you regardless of residential status. I also do want to say, just because we've had a few really great undocumented students from Alabama on our campus, it also goes to you regardless of citizenship. So if you're working with some undocumented or documented students or international students, we still meet 100% of need. We still do it without loans. We still provide really strong financial aid. You do need to apply, but frankly, that takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it because the financial aid is a 4-year financial aid as long as income and assets stay consistent over the course of the student's time at Pomona. The financial aid will stay consistent, and it really is an enabler. It allows students to graduate with little to no debt, to afford business school, law school, medical school, whatever it is they're going to do after Pomona. And 80% of our students do go on to business school, medical school, PhD programs, fellowships. And it is one of the things that we're very proud of at Pomona, to have an incredibly strong national reputation for financial aid and access.
Thank you. John, you want to go next?
Sure, Manisha. That's an extremely impressive program that Pomona offers. Pomona, I believe, is one of the 18 liberal arts colleges nationally that are fully need blind in the admission process and meet the full demonstrated need of every student that they accept. So that's really a powerful statement to be able to make, and certainly with the cost of private higher education today so challenging and so staggering in some cases for families, that's a great pledge. Boston College is a university. We are one of the 21 private universities in the country that pledge to meet the full, that are need blind and pledge to meet full demonstrated need for all admitted students. I just make one variation from what Adam talked about. We will, in meeting full demonstrated need, package one federal loan per year. We also will package a work-study job. So we're not quite as generous as Pomona is, but still gives sizable institutional grants. And for example, in this academic year that we're in right now, we're spending about $160 million on need-based grants to undergraduate students. And the average financial aid package here, institutional award, is about $45,000, and our total cost is $80,000. This is, I think we're about access. About 13% of our students are Pell Grant eligible students. And I think just sort of making sure for all of you on the call, we require the free application for federal student aid. Obviously, we will also require the College Scholarship Services profile application. That's going to be required for most of these private institutions that are doing need-based aid. So FAFSA and profile both would be required. I'll also just mention that we have a relatively small merit-based scholarship program that's called the Gabelli Presidential Scholars Program. We do have a number of students from Alabama, by the way, enrolled here right now who are presidential scholars, which we're delighted about. My colleague Howard Singer has been recruiting there for a number of years. But the Gabelli Presidential Scholars Program, there are 18 of those available to each incoming first-year class. That entails a full tuition scholarship to Boston College for all 4 years, a guaranteed merit-based scholarship. So the tuition piece of our total cost is about $60,000 right now. BC's total cost to students about $80,000. So again, we hope to provide access for all students who are interested in Boston College. One other differentiation from Pomona, we are not yet able, unfortunately, to extend our need blind and meet full need policy to international students. It is only for students living in the United States, US citizens.
Okay. Thank you, John. Ali?
Right. And so I'll talk a little bit about our process at Sewanee, and I'll just reiterate that, again, as a private institution, your state residency doesn't have any impact on the cost of attendance for you. Now, that would be different if my counterpart at University of Tennessee were here speaking. But as a private institution, our tuition, cost of attendance, room and board, all of that is the same for in-state versus out-of-state. We offer both merit scholarship and need-based aid to our students. All students are eligible for merit scholarship when they apply to Sewanee. There's nothing additional they need to do. And for need-based aid, we also meet full demonstrated need from our population. Unlike my colleagues here, we are not need blind, but we are making steps towards that. But we are able to meet the full demonstrated need of our students who we admit. We also require the FAFSA and the CSS profile. Adam dropped that link in there for you. And I also want to note the CSS profile will have a fee attached to it, but once you fill it out, if you meet a certain threshold for income, the fee to apply is waived. So it's automatically waived. Let's see, the majority of our students are receiving some type of merit-based or need-based aid from us. Almost 90% of our students are receiving some type of financial help to attend Sewanee. So the idea is that we're making it affordable for all of our families, and that it's and then that aid is continued to be reevaluated each year when the student is enrolled, so that if there's a significant financial event that occurs, something has changed, our financial aid office is always open to reevaluate what this looks like for a family. So I think it's worth noting that it's not just the first point at which you're coming to college that we think about finances. We're thinking about it all the way through your journey. We are interested in the persistence piece, and we know that finances are a big part of that.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you.
Can I say one more thing? Because I think this is such an important conversation. And us also, just to clarify, Pomona is need blind for international students being educated in the US, not outside of the US. So as John talked about, one of the things that I think I just want to confront head on, because I feel like this happens a lot. We get to the financial aid conversation. You as counselors say the facts, the things you're smart. You've been in these webinars, you know what's going on. The families look at you and say, well, I don't believe you. There is a lack of trust, I think, in the public dialogue between colleges and universities and financial aid policies as they sort of are experienced. And what I have seen in California, because I've done this quite a while now, is that some counselors are starting to run not just free application for federal student aid workshops or CSS profile workshops. They're actually also starting to run calculator workshops. They're sitting down and they're helping families use, and that's why I put the calculator in the chat. As you know, there are a couple of different calculators out there. There's My Intuition, which sometimes is used by private institutions. There's also the net cost calculator, the net price calculator, depending upon how you say it, which is on all of our websites by legal decree. And so to the extent that you think about combating some of the dialogue around financial aid with some data and some additional workshops on your end for parent education, I would strongly encourage you to begin to do that, because it will help the end of the process when families understand financial aid more. And the other part of this is many colleges and universities also offer things like fee waivers. Some will offer diversity fly-ins or fly-in programs in the fall. There's a lot of other costs associated with college that eat at the parent's pocketbook, and we are aware of that. And to the extent that you reach out to us and it's appropriate for the income level of that individual family, many colleges and universities will offer support that is in addition to financial aid when it comes to the process of applying. So I just want to put that out there and say, we want to be in partnership with you. And we know you're getting these questions from all angles, and it is complicated, but there are ways in which I think we can break down some of these barriers and sort of misnomers that are sitting out there around financial aid.
Thank you, Adam. So moving on, does your institution, we talked about, I think, Adam, you mentioned about international students and undocumented students. So we'll start with you, John, on this one. Does your institution admit students who may be undocumented? And what does the process typically look like? Does your institution offer financial aid for these students?
So unhappily, Manisha, no, we are not able to, insofar as we are not able yet to offer financial aid to international students. Undocumented students would fall into that category. So unhappily, we're not able to extend that. We're actually working right now as an institution on fundraising. We would like to get to the point where we can at least start to offer need-based financial aid to international students that come to Boston College, but we're in a fundraising phase right now, and that pledge only goes to domestic students right now.
So can they still apply to your college or no?
They can still apply, absolutely,
Okay.
but with the understanding that they would not be eligible for need-based funds.
Okay. What about you, Ali?
Sure, yeah, we actually are able to we've extended our meet full need to our international population. So yes, we are able to meet full need for a small number of international students every year. With undocumented students, again, we can offer that for a very small number. So we have far more applications and we wish we could admit some more than we are able to. But I also like to point out, there's some really wonderful, and you all likely know these resources, but Golden Door CBO does a fantastic job. There's several, Quest Bridge is mentioned in here. There's many support programs that help offset some of that cost for colleges if they're partners. And so that's just worth noting.
Okay, great, thank you. Adam?
Yeah, I put our website down below, but for the last 12 years, Pomona has been very public and out. We live in a state where there's a significant DACA and undocumented population, and whether those students are coming in as first years or as transfer students, we welcome them in. We have incredible amounts of support for those students and a thriving community for them when they're here.
Thank you. So what are the key employment industries in your geographical area? Like how are the partnerships with the industries? How does your partnership with the industries assist you in helping your students to find internships, to find jobs? And the second part to that question is for students who have to work while in school, what kind of jobs are available to them? And we can start with you, Adam.
Sure. Well, as a liberal arts institution that's educating students in lots of different areas, we would provide opportunities for many kinds of jobs and internships. Let me just break that up very quickly, because internships and research usually are student-based experiences that take place over the course of the college education. And so for those programs, we have what's called the SERP-funded program, which is the Summer Undergraduate Research Program, which provides students a $5,000 stipend to stay on campus and conduct research with a professor. We also have what's called the PSIP, the Pomona College Internship Program, which provides low wage or no wage replacement for students who want to intern for an organization or in an industry that has a history of not providing paid wages for interns. So if you're coming to Pomona to do an internship at Facebook or Google or something, they're probably going to pay you. They have money and they have programs. But if you are going to do an internship, let's say you want to write for a Spanish language newspaper using your international relations and Spanish degree at Pomona, and you want to spend the summer junior year in Lima on a journalism internship, and the newspaper is willing to hire you, but they don't have the money to fund you, you can come to Pomona and we will provide you, the $4,000 or so it takes to spend the summer in Lima. So you have a wage, you have rent, you have food, and you can say yes to the internship that you would otherwise say no to because it was unfunded. So that's the way internship and research funding works. But the majority of graduates at Pomona are going to go on to, thriving careers. And I use the word plural because many of them are going to have multiple jobs and careers over the course of their lifetime. And that will often include things like graduate school, as well as professional experiences and first jobs right out of school. So 80% of Pomona graduates will get a graduate degree within 10 years of leaving Pomona. The majority of students, about 65%, will get a job immediately after leaving Pomona. So whether that's in tech or in aerospace or in education or international economic development, whether that's in research or whether that's a fellowship, there's lots of ways, and I'm sure you all remember your first job. There's lots of times when you get that first job and you realize it's not what you want, and you want to move on to other kinds of jobs and other kinds of careers. And that's really where the liberal arts education and the flexibility that the education provides pays off, because you can zig and zag throughout your life because you're imminently prepared.
Thank you. John, you want to go next?
Sure. So in terms of research opportunities on the Boston College campus for undergraduate students, they're abundant. During the academic year, there's a formal program called University Research Fellows, faculty post-research opportunities, and students can apply for those research fellowships. And if they are selected by the faculty member, it is a paid research fellowship, usually in an area that's of interest to the student. We also have a unique program called Advanced Study Grants, where students can apply for summer research. They come up with their own topics that they wish to do, typically related to their major. And if they can present a proposal that has enough academic integrity to a committee, then they can do that research on BC's dime, as one faculty member once said. So good opportunities if students are interested in doing research. In terms of internships, of course, our location is very favorable. We're in a sort of suburban area. Again, the name Boston College suggests that we're a college in the city of Boston, but we're actually a university on the outskirts of Boston. But there's a great public transportation system here, so students are a trolley ride away from the downtown area, 30, 45 minutes or so at most. All the major, businesses, accounting firms, financial institutions, banks, retail establishments. Boston is a city of great teaching hospitals, so there are medical internships available, paid and unpaid, law practices, all kinds of opportunities that students can take advantage of. Also, if you go actually west of the campus, we have a sort of a major route 128 that runs north and south, and that's become over the past decade or so a really almost an incubator for high-tech startup kinds of opportunities. And so our students in our Carroll School of Management, for example, and other areas are utilizing those kinds of internship opportunities. I just had I got a wonderful story this year of a young man who actually is one of my mentees. He's a junior right now. He comes from Houston, Texas. He was a student at the Cristo Rey High School down there, but he's just been sort of a mentee of mine since he arrived here. I'm not an academic advisor, but just somebody who helped him with his financial aid as he was coming through. And he's had some great summer internships so far, but was wondering what he was going to do between junior and senior year, kind of a critical time for him. And I brought him to an alumni networking night in downtown Boston. And he was able to meet the CEO of Suffolk Construction in Boston, who also happens to be the chair of the Boston College Board of Trustees. And so he was, this chair was so struck by this young man, who's a very impressive young man who's come from Houston, that he said to him, I want you to set up an appointment with me, come in and see me next week. This young man did, and he'll be working in Boston at Suffolk Construction in the summertime. So those kinds of opportunities are abundant for students.
Yeah. Allie?
Sure, and I'll echo, we have very similar structures in place for our students. So of course, we have undergraduate research opportunities for students on campus. We are known for environmental sciences here. I mentioned this earlier, but we sit on 13,000 acres. We are the second largest campus in the United States, just in terms of acreage. And we use this space as a laboratory. So it's very diverse here in terms of the geology and the species that exist on our campus. So if your students are interested in environmental sciences, this is a great place for them to be. But beyond that, research happens in lots of other departments across campus, in political science or in neuroscience or in English, and on and on. Our students also have access to internships. So part of our Swanee pledge is that students have the chance to do either internship or research and study abroad at no additional cost, and graduate in 4 years. So with the internships, many of our students get connected to opportunities across the US in the summer. Similarly to Pomona, we provide funding for that to offset if there's no pay associated with the internship. We can make sure that that happens for our students. And they're all over the place in Silicon Valley, or they're doing environmental science work in the state of Tennessee with the conservatory. So it really spans the gamut for what students get to do with internships. Our career readiness department does a fantastic job tracking where our students are going, connecting them to alumni networks. I did drop a link in here for some infographics. You can see where our students are going. If it's on to higher education, or if it's on to, first stop job. I like to mention the majority of our students, interestingly enough, are pursuing business careers. We don't have a business major, but that's just a great illustration for what a liberal arts degree does. So we have a ton of kids off to the races with business careers.
That is interesting. So we'll move on to the next question. And the question is a foreign language required for admission in any of your colleges?
I'll start us, and yes, we do have a foreign language requirement for our students. And so we would require that students take 2 years of foreign language consecutively in high school. They'll do a placement when they come to Swanee, and this is a common question right now, but sign language does not count for that. And we can assess if we need to do an exception or something. There will still be a requirement that they continue or reach a proficiency in a foreign language while they're at Swanee.
So for admissions, it's required, and then while they are in college also it is required, right?
That's
Like,
correct.
okay. What about you, Adam?
Yes, and yes, we strongly recommend 3 years of foreign language study, and there is a foreign language requirement at Pomona. And interestingly enough, sign language does count. Pitzer College, one of the Claremont colleges here, does teach sign language, and so students can take that. It's not an enormous program, though. Traditionally, it's we often see French and Spanish and Chinese and lots of different kinds of languages offered at high school, but up to 3 years of study is strongly recommended.
Okay. John?
Yes, and as a school that believes strongly in the power of a liberal arts education that Ali just talked about, we encourage students really to in high school do 4 years of the 5 majors, one of which would be foreign language. So go as far as they can in a foreign language. We just think that will certainly enhance their application, but it would also make them somebody who's prepared. If they don't have fluency in a foreign language, then they're poised to maybe do that while they're in college. We have 4 undergraduate colleges at Boston College: the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences, the Carroll School of Management, the Lynch School of Education and Human Development, and the Cornell School of Nursing. Only the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences has a language proficiency requirement. That is, that a student must demonstrate intermediate collegiate level proficiency in a foreign language. The others, it is purely optional. But a lot of students do continue with a foreign language, I would say.
Thank you. So those were the prepared questions. Now we'll go to the, we have questions. One question is on here, and then we have questions from when people are registered for this webinar. So I'm going to ask this question and then hand it over to Michaela so she can go through the other questions. I have a question about Quest Bridge enrollees at your institutions. I don't think Savani participates in Quest Bridge, but for the other 2, how is the enrollment at your schools through the Quest Bridge program? Now, Ali, does Savani participate or not?
No, Nancy's correct. Swanee's at the Quest Bridge School.
Okay. So what about you, Adam, and then John?
Yeah, Pomona is a QuestBridge partner. We match with just under 20 a year, and then we strongly support those QuestBridge rollover students. And so for the non-finalists or the non-match students, we love to see those QuestBridge apps. I was just reading Hawaii yesterday, and I saw lots of Questies in there. So the QuestBridge rollover process is a process where we'll enroll usually another 30 to 40, sometimes up to 50 students. This is a great source of talent, and they already have their application done. They don't have to do another application. They just have to tell us, I didn't match and I want to apply to Pomona. They get a fee waiver. They don't have to complete another app, and they essentially just send their app to us, and we read it as if they are a regular decision applicant.
Thank you, John.
Yes, Boston College is also thrilled to be a QuestBridge partner. And for this year, we're actually, this is our 3rd year as a QuestBridge partner. We began with 50 matches. We moved it to 75 last year, and we've enrolled 90 QuestBridge match students this year. So we believe strongly in the program. We've had tremendous success. Our QuestBridge Scholars chapter has been formed here on campus. So I've gone to a couple of those meetings. They're an eager and enthusiastic and extremely bright group of students. And as Adam mentioned, yeah, we also then have some that are not match applicants, the rollovers. Probably, I think in our first couple of years, we've added another 15 to 20 students who came through QuestBridge to us, to Boston College. But it's a remarkable program, and we're thrilled to be part of it.
Thank you. Michaela, all yours now. And there is one question in chat too.
Yes, thank you all so much. And so I'm reading this question from Nicole, and I actually had a very similar question. Adam, you really touched on, not only tuition being a cost, but all of, these other experiences that the students need to take before they go into college. And so, who would you recommend that counselors or other organizations that help students, who should they contact in order to, see if there are funds that the student could use, as Nicole said, to book flights, hotel rooms, etc.?
Yeah, so some of these programs are going to be specific for the recruitment and outreach piece. And so they would be what are called fly-ins. And fly-in programs usually happen in the fall. They usually target current seniors, though sometimes there are spring fly-ins that target juniors. And there's generally an application process that a student needs to go through. And that is really probably either a sort of diversity or equity recruitment person in the office, or it could be the state representative. So each office is a little bit different, but some offices will have someone who just covers Alabama or who covers, a couple of states in the South, and Alabama is one of them. So I would reach out to my regional representative at the institutions that you might be curious about. I would also point you to College Greenlight. College Greenlight keeps a fly-ins resource page on their website, so you can see all of the various fly-ins and get the deadlines. And if you can't find anything, honestly, just email the director of admission and they'll forward it to someone. I mean, we're all kind of interested in doing these programs if we have them. Not everyone has them. And then the other part is sometimes for admitted students, there will be opportunities to fly in if you've been admitted. So this is usually in April. It's usually only in April, and it's usually a whirlwind. Pop into the university for a day, and then you spend the day, and then maybe you fly out the next day or the day after. They're very quick turnarounds, and there are usually some rules and stipulations and sometimes some income thresholds, but there are lots of universities who know that these extra costs are a burden and who have some programs to help mitigate it.
Great. Thank you so much, Adam. John and Allie, do you have anything similar to Adam, or maybe it's slightly different at your college or university?
I'll just jump in quickly and tell you that we do not offer a fall fly-in. From a cost standpoint, we limit this opportunity to students who've been admitted and are in their final decision-making mode. They can just reach out to their admissions counselor. That would be Howard Singer, or if Howard's not available, just contact the director of admission. But for admitted students, what we would do then is just check presumably they would already have received their financial aid package. And as long as there is significant need there, we will work with them on arrangements in terms of flights. Typically, we would put them up here on the Boston College campus in a student dorm room while they're on campus. But we'll do it on a limited basis for admitted students only.
And I'll just say our program is very similar. We do have a fly-in for underrepresented students who've been admitted in the spring, and we can provide cost assistance for that to offset the travel cost of flight or gas, and students stay on campus.
Thank you all so much. And because of time, we are going to stop here. But if anyone has any other questions, we are happy to send them to our panelists. And we can, definitely send you the answers here shortly after the webinar. So I'll pass it back to Manisha.
Thank you, Michaela. And thank you to the panelists. Thank you, everyone, for answering the questions and kind of elaborating on the admissions process for our students. So this is a quick survey. May, I'll hand it over to you.
Yes, that should be launched on everyone's screen. There will be 2 questions related to satisfaction. And then if you're able to stay on, there will be 2 more questions right after.
So for your professional development hours, please remember to log on to PowerSchool. And this is the course number and section that is mentioned. This is in addition to the registration that you have done already on Zoom, but please make sure you log on to your PowerSchool too. These are some of the dates, save the dates for the next upcoming events. February 7th, we have a community building conversation. February 9th, we have FAFSA office hours for educators and CBOs from 11 to 12. And then February 20th through 24th, which we had shared earlier, is the Spring Alabama College Application Week, and details will be coming soon. The next April 11th, 2023 is Alabama College Attainment Network Virtual Conference. This is our third year hosting this conference, and the call for proposals are out. It's on our website, alabamapossible.org, and they're due on February 21st. So if you all want to send some proposals, please go ahead and check out the details on our website. And like I mentioned, we stay connected with us. Here's our website, phone number, our email address. Please stay in touch. And before we close out, again, thank you to all the presenters, to the panelists. Thank you for taking time out today to come and share the admissions process and give us some insight into your individual colleges. And thank you to everybody who attended this session. We are hoping that this was informative and helped you in through the process. So thank you, everyone.